It's been 26 years since the Liberal government has promised to do something on childcare. 26 years and no action on a national childcare. And again, this election, nothing to solve this problem, nothing to really commit to childcare.
It's time for a roundup of the party leaders on day 21 of this federal election campaign. Let's start with NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh, as you saw there, hosted a breakfast with families where he spoke about his plan for universal childcare and his pitch to make parental leave more flexible. He was in Vancouver, his 8th straight day spent in BC. The CBC's Ashley Burke is covering the campaign. Ashley?
Vashi, for the second day in a row, the NDP's leader Jagmeet Singh is making his pitch to parents, a valuable group of voters this election that are a big voting bloc. Now, we're here at a coffee shop full of babies, and over top of the squeaks and the squeals, Singh spoke about how he'd make their lives more affordable, including making it easier to access EI. The NDP would change the number of hours that you need to work to access benefits and give young parents the option to take a shorter parental leave but get more benefits over that time.
We know that the EI system needs a lot of changes. To respond to the new reality, a lot of families, a lot of people, a lot of workers don't have the traditional 9-to-5 job. They work precarious and volatile and not steady hours.
Singh spent about a week straight campaigning here in BC, which is a huge amount of time. And of course he's running in Burnaby South, but it's also the province where the party is polling the highest, around 18%. And that could be key to the party having a good election. Singh's now headed back to Ontario and Quebec for tomorrow's French language debate, where he plans to keep continuing to take aim at Trudeau, saying that he hasn't followed through on his promises and that the Conservatives will cut services families need. Vashi?
Thanks, Ashley. The CBC's Ashley Burke, who's traveling with the NDP campaign this week. Meanwhile, the other major party leaders took their campaigns to Battleground, Ontario today.
It's time for Canada to put our money where our mouth is and only use foreign aid to support the Canadian values we hold dear. A new Conservative government.
Conservative Leader Andrew Scheer pledged to slash foreign aid and refocus which countries the money goes to. He made the announcement in Toronto. The CBC's Salima Shivji is covering the Conservative campaign for us this week. Salima?
Vashi, Andrew Scheer orchestrated this policy reveal carefully, choosing Toronto with the skyline in the background on a day he wanted to highlight, that of a cancelled foreign policy debate. And Andrew Scheer started off on the offensive, attacking Justin Trudeau, using words like laughingstock, embarrassment, failure on the world stage, before outlining his own vision. And it's really a shift inwards, reducing Canada's foreign aid spending by 25%, drastically cutting the number of countries that will receive aid, prioritizing poorer countries, and Scheer talking tough on hostile nations and dictators, all while trying to hammer home his message, the need to return some of that money to Canadians to help pay for the Conservatives' campaign promises.
By taking the money that Justin Trudeau is currently squandering overseas and spending it at home to provide much needed and long overdue help to Canadian families.
Now that is, of course, right on brand for Scheer, as is his effective shrug that his plan could lessen Canada's influence in the world, or what it means for this country's bid to get a seat on the United Nations Security Council.
It's more important to me that I help Canadians get ahead than curry favor at the United Nations.
Scheer is betting the voters he wants on side don't much care for the United Nations or sending aid to countries he name-dropped like Iran, Turkey, or China. And now that this big reveal is out of the way, Andrew Scheer is hunkering down in Montreal here. No events planned during the day tomorrow to get as much prep under his belt as possible. The first French language debate on private network TVA is tomorrow night, where Scheer will be called on to defend his ideas in his far from perfect French against two other leaders who will be much more at ease, linguistically anyway. Vashi.
Thanks, Salima. The CBC's Salima Shivji covering the Conservative campaign this week. Liberal Leader Justin Trudeau, meanwhile, spent a second straight day talking about his gun control plan.
I'm standing here today and saying that enough is enough. It's time to show some courage and take a strong stand against gun violence. That's why
Trudeau met with a group of Toronto area mayors to discuss his plan to give cities the authority to ban handguns. The meeting took place in Richmond Hill. The CBC's Katie Simpson is covering Trudeau's campaign this week. Katie?
Vashi, this was a moment. Today will be remembered as a moment the Liberal campaign wished didn't happen. Justin Trudeau is in the Greater Toronto area, and for the second day in a row, he's promoting his plan to end gun violence, which is a major issue in this part of the country. He sat down with mayors and a city councillor to talk about his idea and to hear what the leaders on the ground are actually dealing with. Trudeau's plan includes allowing cities to ban and or restrict handguns. These mayors, they see this for the most part as a good first step, but they did not hesitate to show their support for a much tougher plan when asked about it. And it became an awkward moment for Trudeau, who tried to jump in. Could I get a show of hands here from mayors who would like a national ban?
I can tell you I heard clearly from them that many of them want us to bring a national ban, yes.
So if you take a look behind you, all those people are saying national ban. You heard it from the medical professionals, so why not go that route?
We are taking the strongest step in Canadian history to move forward on tougher gun legislation.
These kinds of optics, it's not what the Liberals want to see. The rest of Trudeau's day is pretty quiet. He's tied up with debate prep ahead of tomorrow's French language debate on the private broadcaster TVA, and he's also working ahead to prepare for the other 2 debates planned for next week. Vashi.
Thanks, Katie. The CBC's Katie Simpson covering the Liberals this week. Green Party leader Elizabeth May unveiled more details of her plan for post-secondary students.
The Green Party is very clear on this. Education at the post-secondary level, like from kindergarten to 12, should be free. We can do it, we can afford it, many other countries have.
May says a Green government would make college and university free for Canadians, and it would forgive existing student debt held by the federal government. The parliamentary budget watchdog estimates that would cost more than $16 billion in the first year. May laid out the promise in Toronto before heading to Montreal for a campaign rally there tonight. And People's Party of Canada leader Maxime Bernier continued his swing through southwestern Ontario. He spoke to supporters at a breakfast event this morning before heading to Sarnia for another meet and greet. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.